Good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me. Just to give you a bit of context on who I am, I am the Director of Publishing and Development for the UK for Programmatic, which is an SSP, a supply-side platform, helping publishers to monetize inventory programmatically. But before I started working here a couple of years ago, I'd spent 15 years as a publisher, and 3 years of those were in the local advertising space, working for Local World, which is one of the biggest regional media businesses in the UK. I worked there during the rapid rise of digital across some of the biggest and smallest local media titles. So I think I have a fairly decent understanding of how publishers are facing challenges and opportunities at the moment, and I'd like to look at how we can look at how you can work through those with Programmatic. So why am I here? So this presentation is going to be looking at the growth of digital media and the evolution, and some might say kind of revolution of media buying and how it impacts local publishers. I'll be looking at the challenges that digital has brought publishers in this space and the opportunities open to them. But first I want to share a few facts to give you some context on the talk. So the UK digital market is booming. In 2015, UK digital ad spend grew 24% year on year to hit over £8 billion. And that was, of that, £3 billion was spent on digital display, more than £3 billion. So for me, though, the more important numbers are these next two. 60% of that £3 billion was spent programmatically, and 68% was spent on mobile. So Programmatic is no longer the preserve of just what you do with the adverts you can't sell directly. It's now becoming the main way in which marketers are looking to buy across inventory globally, and you need to be looking at how you can take full advantage of that. So just in case there is any confusion in the terminology, I hate banding these things around. This is from the IAB's Media Owner Sales Techniques study that was launched in the UK last week. And programmatic trading is the use of automated systems and processes to buy and sell inventory. This includes, but is not limited to, trading that uses real-time bidding auctions. Basically, it means the trading of inventory using machines in a really efficient, really effective way. It allows marketers to use data to identify and buy their target audiences wherever and whenever they want, without RFPs, without human negotiation, without insertion orders, and maybe even without lunches. So Programmatic has enabled marketers to do what they've always wanted to do, and that's to serve the right message to the right person in the right place at the right time. In theory, with as little wastage as possible. I think we're all aware that the media landscape has changed dramatically over the last 10 years. Today's media is solidly revolving around the consumer and is being defined by how they consume content, where they consume content, and what devices they consume content on. Consumers still want great content, and I don't think that's ever changed, but they want it to be immediate, relevant, and shareable. These demands have driven us to be more innovative in the way that we connect with our audiences, leading us to create new technology, new platforms, which in turn influences consumer behaviour. You don't have to look at someone like Snapchat, which took advantage of or saw the opportunity with young millennials who wanted to access content and share content immediately to create a completely new platform that's actually informed the way we look at video from being a horizontal way of viewing to actually a vertical way of viewing in the way that you hold your phone. Our lives are completely online, I think we all know that. We spend on average almost 3 hours per day online, and I'm sure lots of us would be clocking up far more than that. We use different connected devices through the day, however. We'll use our mobile on the commute, queuing up in the post office, desktop at work, probably checking Facebook, and mobile or tablet while watching TV. Significantly though, half of our online time is spent using mobile devices, and this is a trend that's only increasing. This is supported by Comscore data for the UK's top 15 publishers, news publishers. They are all now truly mobile first. Why is this? Well, this is because mobile allows consumers to get their news immediately, share it instantly with their friends and followers. It allows them to be the curators and the creators of their own newsfeed. For me, when there's a breaking news story, I go to social media first so that I can curate all of the different opinions and pieces that I want to read before going to them. And that's my first place of call whilst I'm on the phone. And with this change in consumption habits, publishers have had to adapt the way that they distribute their content and how they monetize it effectively. Kent Messenger is my local newspaper. I tried to find a front cover that wasn't about a disaster or something horrible, but I think that's what local news sells well on. But where once Kent Messenger I used to deliver as a boy was just on newspaper, they now publish across desktop, across tablet, across mobile, and even across social media. Publishers are adapting, obviously, in this space. So the Kent Messenger now has a really nice online, really nice mobile website. It's optimized, it loads quickly, it has all of the content that I want to look at about my local area. However, the very thing that always made local media distinct, the location that they serve, is being disrupted by the very nature of mobile devices, at least in the minds of the programmatic buyer. So you can't get any more local now than a phone that's in your hand. And with GPS enabling phones to determine your position within a couple of feet of where you're standing, there are plenty of apps which take advantage of that. So not just your Facebooks and your Googles, but also apps that have eaten into local publishers' traditional heartland. So that's classified, property, motoring and dating. On my phone right now, I have an eBay app, a Gumtree app, a Rightmove app. I don't have Tinder because my wife would be fairly disappointed in me, but I have all of these, and they can all serve me they can all serve me an experience that is informed by my location, and also serve me advertising that is based on where I am at any one point. So in other words, these guys are your competitors in both consumers' time and also ad spend when it comes to programmatic. So if impressions are everywhere and consumers are seeing over 5,000 marketing messages every day, relevancy is really, really crucial. And that's not just relevancy of content and advertising, although they are both really important. It's also about how you make your inventory as relevant as possible to the buyers who are spending their money programmatically. So how do you win? I think the key considerations are still the same. So it's still about the connection between consumers and content. But now you have to consider, how do I engage consumers across all screens, all formats, all channels? How do I effectively monetize when competition increases every day? And how do I effectively analyze my progress, analyze my data to keep adapting and improving my monetization strategy? I think you guys already have one of the key building blocks, which is highly engaging local content. But how do you win commercially when ever more budget is being spent programmatically? So I've got 3 key strategies or key things that you can be looking at to try and fully take advantage of the programmatic opportunity. So firstly, focus on data. It really is important. Advertisers, DSPs, trading desks, buyers, all have their own data, and they can all use that data to effectively target your users across the web. Now, if you're able to build your own first-party data segments, you're able to provide them with something they can't get anywhere, they can't get elsewhere. First-party data can be come in many flavors, but they can be behavior on site, logged-in data, gender. Data management platforms will enable you to collect this data together for a fee and can be used to build up unique audience segments and combine offline and online data to offer to advertisers that they can't get independently elsewhere. It can be a significant investment for smaller publishers, so it's something to consider carefully before going down that route. And even if you're not able to afford working with a DMP or you don't want to work with a DMP, there are still ways in which you can pass that data through to the buyers. So there's a good chance that you're already using custom targeting for your direct deals with your ad server. So you can append that custom targeting to PMPs, programmatic packages, and with the help of your programmatic partner, you can utilize that targeting to deliver inventory for private marketplaces. So, for example, a travel website may create a PMP that's targeting search results on the word Paris for a Eurostar campaign, for example, and it doesn't need a DMP to facilitate it. This allows you to start identifying which of your segments is most appealing to buyers and begin identifying which brings the most incremental revenue to you. During this process, your programmatic partner should really be advising you both technically on how to do it and also giving you market level insights on what buyers are looking for and how best to cater for them. Secondly, go where the eyeballs are. To be frank, if you don't have a mobile strategy, you are going to be stagnating at best. As we saw earlier, ever more audience and therefore revenue is shifting to mobile. So you need to make sure that your mobile user experience is as user-friendly as possible and that your inventory is as attractive as possible. Firstly, if there's one thing that you do, invest in making your site optimized, mobile optimized. No one will put up with pinching and zooming into content to try and see it anymore. They'll just leave your site if that's the case. And they certainly won't be in the mind to engage with advertising. In fact, if you're running desktop ads across desktop and mobile, which sometimes people do, you're highly likely to negatively impact the performance of your campaigns and those advertisers won't come back to you. In the UK, 84% of the top 250 advertisers have got mobile optimized sites now, which has changed a hell of a lot since I was working on the publishing side. And if they've got them, then there's no excuses for publishers not to either. Secondly, if you've got an app, that's really, really good news. Apps have the ability to pass far more data than mobile web. They can pass really rich data such as device ID, so the type of device you're using, the operating system you're browsing on, the location, using GPS, lat long, and even browser type. So you can talk to your ad serving partner or your programmatic platform about the data that you're already passing or whether you're passing any of that data within the ad call. But we at Programmatic have seen that if you can pass device ID and lat long with your advertising impression, programmatic CPMs can be up to 250% higher than the standard mobile web inventory. So it's also worth looking at high impact formats that leverage higher CPMs. The most abundant mobile ad format out there on mobile optimized sites is the 300 by 50 ad at the top of the mobile page, which is gone in seconds. Subsequently, CPMs are fairly low for those ads. Buyers that we work with are mainly interested in bigger formats, mobile MPUs at a minimum, but if they can get interstitials or expandable creative, they will pay more. Mobile lends itself to immersive advertising experiences, I think one of the previous speakers was saying. And you can they want to take advantage of it, marketers want to take advantage of it, and you can leverage more revenue from them, and you can run that through programmatic. You've obviously got to be mindful of user experience across your site, but it's worth talking to businesses like Celtra, for example, who can create custom formats for you that you can use to attract buyers and charge higher CPMs. And finally, I would say make sure that you're choosing the right programmatic partner to help to guide you in building out your programmatic strategy. It might be us, it might be others, depending on where you are and depending on what your objectives are. But you want to have a partner who can offer you market insight, can offer you technical insight, and can help you to build out a programmatic strategy that will enable you to have a sustainable business moving forward. And my last point, we'll finish now, so I'll leave you with this. When it comes to programmatic, location is really where it's at. There's a company called Bliss Media here in the UK, which is a technology company that specialises in mobile location. And they've just raised $25 million in round B funding because of the value that the market sees in location technology. So local publishers already have location embedded in their DNA. They just need to make sure they've got the right technology to take advantage of it in a programmatic world. Thank you.
Any questions for Simon?
Where's number 3?
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, there you go. Any other questions? Besides, where's number 3? Yes, back here. And the lady with the good questions. Are you going to try to stump him too?
So with my cynical hat on, programmatic to me means commoditizing. Have you seen, or what downturn have you seen in pricing? Have you seen an impact on pricing driven by this kind of bidding war idea? I am being cynical, clearly.
Yeah, no. So I think prices definitely went down when it was at pure open marketplace, and it was just all about liquidity and volume. But as the markets evolved, the buy side is looking for the ability to target specific audiences, and they're prepared to pay for that. So I think, as I was saying here, if you are able to provide them with something that makes your inventory more attractive, first-party data or specific context, they are prepared to pay. So within a PMP or a private marketplace, you can definitely leverage increased CPMs. And I think we have to remember that the programmatic it's part of a strategy, it's not your entire strategy. So buyers are absolutely buying a lot of their inventory programmatically. So one needs to be prepared for that situation.
So again,
yeah.
So we own a media company. It's a traditional directory. We have the luxury of being privately owned, which does make a difference to the way we behave. We could rather see some of our inventory not sold and have what would have been in publishing terms white space, rather than sell it to the lowest bidder. How could we work with technology like that?
So it's not about selling to the lowest bidder. So it's an auction environment. So actually, the auction environment delivers the highest bidder within that situation. Totally understand. When I was at Local World, we had a very strong direct sales proposition, and we were definitely always looking to protect that. But there are budgets that don't sit within a direct buying campaign. And even so, when I was at Local World, you would have Asda doing direct deals with us when they wanted to promote a store opening in Hull, for example, or a store protection. They wanted to stop one of their competitors, and they put a homepage takeover on the website. They do a wrap on the page, and that would all be done direct, and we'd get really good money for that. But they had a completely separate budget to target specific audiences. So they might have a budget for targeting mums who are 25 to 35, who are living in the southeast, interested in looking at, they've got young children. And in that context, there was a programmatic budget that was completely separate. And we actually used to try and say, oh no, you can't buy that, that's got to come direct. But they would say to us, well, we will never spend that with you direct. So you either take the money from us through the programmatic buying side of our business, plus you'll get the direct stuff, or you have less revenue and you don't get the more audience-based marketing. Because I think that's, while totally understand publishers' positions in looking at protecting revenues, but when budgets are moving into a buying programmatically, you kind of at least need to consider whether that's something that you should be embracing for certain advertisers, maybe your non-endemic advertisers. That would be my advice.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any other questions? No? Okay, well, let's say thanks to Simon. Where is Simon? Okay.